Inspiration, creativity, and heritage. These are terms and phrases that we use in talking about Paducah and sharing Paducah as a creative city with the world. So many locals here in Paducah are inspired by our River City's history and creatively creating the present experience for our visitors and locals alike. Today, we have a very special visitor here with us who is very familiar with traditional knowledge and the value of using our past to create the present. So today I welcome Giuseppe Biagini with the International Traditional Knowledge Institute.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being here, and we're so glad to have you back in Paducah. This is your return.
Right.
You were here for the Paducah meeting
in
of
September,
the Creative
right?
Cities.
Yes, last year. Beautiful event, which really demonstrate how Paducah is so friendly to visitors, and I'd like to express that not just as a thank you for that event, but also as a common characteristic that I'm finding even this visit, and I want that to be shared with all the other creative cities of the UNESCO network.
Yes, well, it does come down to the people, and we'll get more into that in just a few moments with your work. But first, I would love for you to introduce our viewers to the creative cities with which you are from. You're actually from two creative cities.
Yes. The Institute, the International Traditional Knowledge Institute, which I'm representing here in the U.S., has been helping both Tucson, Arizona to become a creative cities of gastronomy, and that happened in 2015. And then later we worked also with Carrara in Italy to become a creative cities of craft. Tucson is a very particular gastronomy city because the scene there is based on 67 ingredients that are available in the desert, have been available for 4,500 years and have been evolving and feeding the people and all the communities that have been surviving in the desert at that time and now thriving in the desert, hopefully for many years to come. Carrara instead has a particular connection to the craft world through not just the extraction process of the marble, but from the way they handle the marble. They transform it into statues, into works of art and architectural pieces that goes back for many hundreds of years, actually from the Roman time, thousands of years. And Michelangelo, of course, picked the place as the only place where he could create his own works of art, and so that's how Carrara got recognized into the network.
Yeah, so obviously those connections to the creative cities play right in to your interest in traditional knowledge.
Knowledge, yes. Both cities has a very strong connection to that, and actually one of the projects the Institute is carrying forward in Tucson is exactly dedicated to that. Make sure that we document, protect, highlight the traditional practices of farmers and ranchers of Arizona, and we do this through a collaboration with the Pima County, which is the county that contains Tucson. And then we want to extend and help through a platform that the Institute has been building called the Creative Knowledge Platform to make sure that traditions are highlighted as a way of really sustainably continue to produce those ingredients, those foods. And the objective of doing that is also to extend the chain all the way to restaurateurs, to people that sell those ingredients, and making sure that the chain survives as is protected and is extended for the future. In Carrara, we are planning to do something similar, but this is too early. Carrara joined the network just in 2017, so they're still trying to figure out how they can participate in supporting the work of the network.
Well, it's very exciting, and a thought comes to mind from the Paducah meeting, the name of our exhibit that week was Pride of Place.
Pride of Place,
And I think
yes.
that very much ties into these platforms that you're building
Right.
for people to share how what they're doing is inspired by place.
Right. The platform really focuses on the uniqueness of a place. And sometimes people don't even know what their uniqueness is. And fortunately, the UNESCO Creative City program helps in really doing that, in really helping the community realize that they are special. They have something that is not available any other place. And that is something that most of the people going around the world now are looking for.
Authenticity.
Authenticity. Talk to the people that know how things are done. And not go out of the standard, go out of what is common, what is available every place. And so the program from the UNESCO and our platform really focus on that. Try to pull out what is unique of your territory and try to make sure that that knowledge, that creativity, that tradition doesn't disappear, actually becomes a way of sustaining that community and possibly even improve the economy of that community.
Yes, and thinking about authenticity, we're selling Paducah to visitors to draw them in, sustainable development, stabilize our economy as a community, but that's also a means to preserve our heritage.
Is to and to make sure that the uniqueness comes out. And one of the things to make sure that the uniqueness comes out is to attract people to come here, to meet the people who have those knowledge, have that creativity. And yes, also the platform helps in creating itineraries where you do want to meet the people who are the keeper of that tradition, the people that creatively make that tradition evolve into something not of the past, but something of the present and hopefully of the future through their adaptation to tastes, to flavors, to whatever the new world needs, but still being attached to the uniqueness of that territory. So make it evolve from the tradition of that territory into future developments.
Yes, and while you've been here, we've had many tours, many stops, but one of the most exciting has been to celebrate the Days of Bread project.
Right, yes. Oh, thank you. That's a good hook. The Days of Bread is a project that the Institute started together with Tucson and Krakow this year. Actually, it seems a long time, but it's only this year that we started that. And it's the first project that included all the creative cities of the world without differentiation by clusters. So not just gastronomy, not just craft and folk art, music, whatever. Anyone could participate because we were looking for bread that were not just the typical European breads, but were the staple food of each community. Anything that a locality will recognize as something culturally significant, either for a particular event or because it's something that it's eaten every day with every day's meal. And we had, we started this project in 6 weeks, we had a very good return, and Paducah, of course, was one of that participated in the project with a local bakery that today we went and visit, but we'll talk about later. And the success of this first prototype of project was recognized even at the UNESCO conference in Krakow this year. And they asked us to extend it and to make sure that now we are not just into a recipe thing, into a name of things, but we go inside into the human factor. We interview the bakers, possibly the farmers, the millers, that make the ingredient for making a bread. And try to explain to other people how important it is, how humble might even be to dedicate that much time to something that seems so simple to prepare, but instead it requires a lot of hard work, a lot of passion from the baker point of view, sometimes even a change of lifestyle because you have to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to make sure that the bread will be ready by 7, 8 o'clock. And And that passion that was transferred to us through interviewing some of the bakers will be available in the next release that will be printed for the Fabriano meeting in 2019. And all these videos will be available through QR codes that will link to websites and to an app that the Institute is providing.
And before we get into Paducah's recipe, the app can be found in the App Store.
The app can be found, yes, in the App Store, both the Google and the Apple, and it's called Days of Bread. And anyone that wants to download it, please do so. Hopefully the June version will be with most of the creative cities of the world. There are only 180, but to put them together is not an easy task. But we'll try. In 6 weeks, as I said, we put together 36, and now we at least plan to reach at least 100. And hopefully 180.
And
but
36 was a great representation.
Oh yes, because
diverse areas.
Right, there was anyone. All the cluster were represented, so people from music, from literature, from craft. As a matter of fact, craft was the busiest, the most represented in the book. Gastronomy, the media arts, any of the creative fields of the UNESCO network were represented there. We had to work a little bit more with the continent of Africa because they didn't participate much, but this year we are focusing on that. We want to make sure that they do tell us their story. They participate in this community building within the UNESCO framework.
Yes. Well, when we think of bread in our community, certainly Kirchhoffs Bakery comes to mind. 5 generations now, and that tradition is very, very deep. So this seemed like a perfect fit for them, and I think that they found it a very exciting project to get to share their story.
Right. It's amazing. Today we were there, as I was saying, and they, from the father and the daughter, and also Josh, I mean, that was really something special. The passion that they were describing to me that goes into making breads. And I told them, now be prepared because we are going to interview you. We want to have a video of you talking to the community and sharing this passion that you have, and possibly making sure that the 7th generation will be there and keep going with this super bread that you're making. And another thing is, yes, they are for sure a special place. Please, others in Paducah, come up and present your own traditions. There is space for anyone that wants to participate. Be prepared to tell a story. Be prepared to tell about a recipe that your grandmother, your grand-grandmother taught you, and that you're still doing it, making it part of your traditions. And we'll try to include you in the new version of the project.
We've been meeting with some bakers here in Paducah and some other potential subjects for this project. But Kirchhoffs, obviously their heritage is German, and so they bring that into it, but have certainly evolved throughout the years. And today was very special because they tried out some
2 breads,
diverse recipes from the project.
Right, yes, they tried a recipe from Zale, Lebanon. And they do the good soup with that, matched perfectly. Actually, we should tell to Zale that you highlighted them. They were very much appreciated. And the second was a Parma bread, michetta, that is very difficult to bake. Actually, picked a very difficult bread to make, but it was
beautiful.
It was beautiful, a great success. Yes, we should tell to Parma too that in faraway places we try to extend their traditions and talk about them. Yes, everyone will appreciate, which is exactly the scope of this project.
Yes.
Get in contact, exchange knowledges, and make sure that creatively those knowledges are made evolve into possibly even completely different recipe, but the base is that. And maybe the territory needs some changes in flavors, some changes in ingredients that are not available in some territories, but at least there is this exchange of practices, exchange of techniques that are important.
It very much is. And another thing that really struck me about the project that you said earlier, it gives these bakers a platform to say what I do is unique and is special. Not only to me, but it matters to the world
to
understand.
Yes. Actually, what we didn't do much, version 1, which is to give to each baker the page where he is represented and to be able to show it that they are part of this project. This year, instead, we want to make sure that that happens. So each baker will have their own chapter, their own section printed specific for them so that they can talk to their community and say, I participate, I shared my knowledge with others, and here is the outcome of that. I think they help them in repaying of all the efforts they put in making that bread and making that in that particular traditional way.
And of the whole Creative Cities program, that cooperation, those connections, new platforms to tell our stories as communities. I think that we are grateful for that, and we're so grateful to have guests like you to come in and be able to celebrate this type of a project and bring the community into it. By Kirchhoffs having that special today, that is a storytelling opportunity.
It is. It is. Actually, we met even people that Paducah took to San Cristobal, and that was like meeting old friends. I mean, even if we stayed together just 2 days, but that experience within the frame of UNESCO events really creates fraternity, creates positive feelings between people, and they last. Even the bluegrass band that came down, Nathan, remembers all the friends that he met in San Cristobal. They were not just the Mexican people there, but also people from Incheon, South Korea. And now they are part of this network. They communicate special activity that each one is doing, and there is an exchange of information. It's a matter of people-to-people communication and improving relations between different countries. Sometimes it's difficult to communicate in English into Korean and the other way around, but through the positive use of internet and social media, you can do that. And that's the way that the Institute really wants to use both internet and social media. Facilitate communication and lower barriers and make sure that everybody has the opportunity to talk to somebody very far away or that is not possible for them to meet in person.
And as we talk about translation, we've discussed that gastronomy, craft, music don't require translation.
No, they don't, right.
To experience.
Oh, yes, the experience in Cristobal was really a tell-all story. A bluegrass band put together with a mariachi band was an immediate generation of a new genre, mariachi bluegrass. That was really something. We stopped the traffic in San Cristobal for people to listen to what was going on. Yes, that was really something.
And that is Saboris y Saberis that you're referring to, which was a very special opportunity for gastronomy and craft to come together. And both of those, you know, craft, our vessels that we eat and drink from, those are craft at heart. Our gastronomy is what we eat every day. So those are relatable to all of us. And I think all of us have connections to these stories, to this place. And we, you know, are focused outside as tourism to draw visitors in. But we see so much value in working with our locals and preserving these stories. And we've even developed on our blog, Creative City Stories, where locals are sharing what this place and these projects, these global connections mean to them. And so we definitely encourage our viewers to check those out, to check out Days of Bread and see how Paducah is showing up to the world and being part of this global community. This is a community. It
is a community, right. And again, it's a positive use of what the internet is really offering to us, which is connect, talk, explain. And hopefully we can build a project together about the specific craft of Paducah quilting. And the same platform that we are using to talk about bread could be used about quilting. So I hope we can do something in that direction too.
Yes, we've been doing great tours here while you're in town, and one of the things that we're so excited about, thinking about what you do kind of brings together tradition, technology,
Right.
and thinking future forward focused.
Right. Actually, sorry if I interrupt, but the sustainable goal number 8 for the United Nations is what the Institute really wants to work on, and which is essentially is leveraging on what is a traditional knowledge of a community, a particular know how to do things that we want to leverage on to improve on the economy of that community. That is the driver behind the platform, is driver behind this kind of a project, and highlight the expertise, the one-of-a-kind experience that each knowledge keeper can offer to his visitor, his possible Facebook friend or email contact, and the platform does specifically help in doing that.
Yes. So we hope to certainly use this platform, this framework, to build upon what we've done with Days of Bread.
Right.
And we hope to involve some of our students. We've been we've communicated with different educators, and tomorrow you'll be with students at Paducah Tillman High School with the Makerspace and the Innovation Hub development. How do you see students being part of this process?
Students are key. First of all, because it's a way for them to get acquainted with the tradition of their own land, which sometimes they consider stuffy things, and add some technology to it that make it more sexy, more attractive to the young generation. Everything that can go through an iPhone, an iPad, a screen of a PC, it's much more interesting than something that grandmother or grandfather will tell you. And so the idea behind the platform is exactly that. Involve them both in being part of finding the data and loading it into the platform, but on the other one, they are the target of the content. The content is built to be a teaching tool, awareness tool for the new generations about what is unique about their community, and find a way of presenting that to them in a way that they will like to see it.
Sure, and I think that just is so exciting, because we think about here in Paducah, we want to draw those students back and make sure that they do stay here and put down roots and help us create the future of this place.
Absolutely so. And please don't forget about uniqueness in this place, because otherwise you become a place like any other place, right? And instead you have a unique thing, leverage on that. Make sure that the generation to generations is passed along. And of course the UNESCO brand helps, but also the bakery, just to make an example, is not protected by the UNESCO brand, but still is an important tradition of the land, is an important distinctive factor of the land that should be an example for others to follow and leverage on that, create a business on that. That makes Paducah different from other places.
Like we were at Hancock's and thinking about this makerspace that we have in the Innovation Hub, that craft, sewing, textiles, there are opportunities there.
Oh yes, there is. Hopefully, I hope that we can do that project for quilting, and having Hancock to really support on that, and in presenting that in his big audience, what we're planning to do, and make sure that that becomes something that even the new generation follow as a way of expressing their creativity, as a way sometimes even to create income to their family in a very positive way.
Yes. Well, I guess to wrap up today, I have the big question. Why creative cities? Why do our cities being part of this network, why does that matter?
Oh, it matters a lot. First of all, because UNESCO is, yes, it is a political organization, but it's so far removed from any country's political scene that they try to make the connection between people, and in particular the Creative Cities program is the one that is at the lowest level, meaning is at city level, mayor's level, and citizen level. The mayor is the political person closest to his community. They can give immediate feedbacks to directly to the mayor about the policy that she's making or he's making, and have a feedback and adjustment that can be done right away. The other UNESCO projects instead are more at governmental level, so they are far removed from the real needs of the people of a community.
Right.
So the Creative Cities Network program for UNESCO is really something that, thanks God, somebody thought about that, because it really involves people.
Yes.
It doesn't involve only politicians or states, and it's a way of communicating. It's a way, facilitates the communications in a protected environment like the UNESCO can offer, and make sure that everyone has the same voice, everyone can express themselves, his creativity, whatever it is, and share it, confront it with anybody else around the world.
Yeah, and I think that the Creative Cities Network brochure sums that up in the phrase that creativity is lived and practiced, at the local level.
At the local level, it's super, yeah,
Yes.
That's a very catchphrase that tells it all, yes.
Well, we thank you for Days of Bread, for being here in Paducah, and all the work you're doing with the traditional knowledge to help us live, preserve, and continue to be a creative community. Thank you, Giuseppe.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you very much.
Hope to have you back in Paducah again and again.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us today. It's been great to have you watching Tourism Talk. We hope that you will visit paducah.travel. Check out those creative city stories on the Paducah blog, and you'll find one right there about Days of Bread and the connection directly to the app and the Kirchhoffs story. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
1, 2, 1, 2, go. Hello, ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Hello, ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-da-ba-ba.